Um, Hi everyone. Um, as more patients continue to join, um, I would wait for an extra 2 minutes, and then would start by 5 minutes after five. Okay, I think we should be starting at the moment. We currently have 10 persons in the house, and I thank everyone that has taken their time to join this call. And my goal is to make it as interactive as possible and very interactive between myself, the my guest who is Yusuf Adebakin, who's here with us, and every one of you. In order to help with the, I use the word interactivity, I'll be posting a link on the I'll be posting a link on the chat. If there is any question you want to ask at any point during the course of this event, um, yeah, you just post it to this link, and I'll take a look at it. The reason why I'll be using this link rather than using the in chat is so that I can have a backup of all the questions people were interested in asking. And if because of time constraints we are not able to answer them all here today, in subsequent sessions I'll ensure that we answer them. So I'm getting the link. Okay, so at this point, I would probably start with an introduction and what we are like. I mean, what you're actually doing here, and then after that, I would introduce the guest, and I would open the room for one or two persons to introduce themselves and what they want to get out of these programs. And once we are done with that, we'll kick off the conversation. So as an introduction, I am Pascal Amoswo. Some of you here may know me. I did my undergraduate at the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. And after my undergraduate, I mean, I worked a bit, and then I came to the US to start my PhD. I'm currently in my third year of my PhD program, and I mean, we are still here, so we thank God. Yeah, a summary of what this program is all about is over time I have a lot of patients, especially during this application period, coming to ask me lots of questions about what they should do or what they should not do. And secondly, I know that during this period of like application, a lot of similar programs like this get organized in the form of seminars or webinars, and people get invited to come and talk to you about how you can, get that funded scholarship abroad. While all those sound nice, I've always felt that one aspect that has always been missing is that, I mean, if you go online, if you go to the internet, you would see almost any advice you want to see, the good, the bad, the ugly, you see them online. But a lot of times we actually don't get to know the specific stories of someone, like how one person actually did his own, right? So, for example, if you go online, you could see different generic responses like, should you write GRE or should you not write GRE? Should you code email or should you not code email? Should your academic CV be 5 pages long to show that you've done a lot of things in your life? Or should it be only 1 page so that somebody can actually read it, right? I mean, no single factor would affect or influence your ability to get into graduate school. But I'm working on the hypothesis that if we know how others have done it, then we may also be able to do it better, right? I mean, that's been what has been guiding me all this while. So, with that said, it's my pleasure and to actually introduce our guest for today, Mr. Yusuf Adebakin. I would invite him to say hi at this point.
Hi, I'm Yusuf Adebakin. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Yusuf, please can you check your personal chats, like on this Zoom chat? I think I sent you your personal message. Just okay. So at this point, I would. Is anyone here who would want to just introduce themselves? Tell us like your name and maybe are you an undergraduate or a graduate? What's your course of study, and specifically what's one thing you want to take home from this conversation? So I mean anyone that's interested can yeah, anyone that's interested can just, turn on your camera and just introduce yourself. And if nobody is interested, then we just move on with the program, because we don't have time. Okay, Lekon. Yeah. I can see you're raising up your hands. You want to speak?
I partial.
Can you turn on your camera, please?
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
Or you can, yeah, if it's not convenient for you. Okay. Cool.
Okay, now I partial. My name is Adela Jacobi Olamilekon from the University of Lagos. I'm a final year student studying electrical and electronics engineering, and I'm here today to just learn like the whole process of how I'm going to be transitioning from like my final year to getting a master study by God's grace, and I believe the speaker here is going to do justice to it.
Seems like you have more faith in him than I do.
I do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. Does any other person want to say hi? Like I'll just call some people's name actually. Mr. SM Para, you want to say hi?
Hi. Sorry. Hi, Pascal. Hi, Yusuf. So I'm on duty and okay, let me just turn on my camera briefly. So yes, it's nice to be here. I graduated from Futo, chemistry, industrial chemistry, and I intend going for a PhD studies in chemistry as well. So I'm particularly interested in Purdue University, and it will be a nice thing to get all the secrets, I can get so that I can, get my way in through there. So it's nice to be here. Thank you. Thank you for organizing this.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, Innocent. Yeah. Okay, I think at this point we'll just head on and start the conversation. So, Mr. Yusuf, most of the conversation will just be, two of us talking, people submitting questions, me asking the questions, and you answering. I mean, we are all here to, tap from your wealth of wisdom to, be showered by your, how do they used to put it? I don't know how to whine, but I just like to say the truth, like, by the graces that, are all around you. So, kicking off with that, how are you doing today?
Oh yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're currently a PhD student at Purdue University, right?
Oh, yeah, I think
What's your program and what's
okay.
your course of program? Program of course.
Okay, so I'm presently in Purdue University, in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. And then my research area is going to be on microelectronics and nanotechnology. I'm basically going to be working on fabrication of ICs, integration of ICs, homogeneous integration, heterogeneous integration, sensors network, wireless sensors. So
Only you.
IoT, IoE, yeah.
Wow. See people that are trying to change the world, though, not people like us that just not say anything.
No, you are serious more than I do. Yeah, I know that.
Okay, so yeah. So I'd always start with this very first question. How many schools did you apply to during your application period, and how many did you get into?
Okay, my application process is a bit different. Okay, to be specific, I applied to about 8 schools, and then if I'm not mistaken, can I still count? I think I got into 5. Yeah, 5.
Wow.
And then, however, I was able to keep track with the remaining 3. I probably didn't get in because my interest in terms of research wasn't particularly aligning with the school. And then because I chose the PhD program, and any school that wants to bring in a PhD student, there will be need. It's either there is a research need or there shall be a need for that person to get in before they can offer the person. A couple of schools, of all those big schools, we want to fund most of their PhD students. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. He applied to 8 schools and got into 5. Wow. So why did you pick Purdue?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for this, I think for this, I don't know. I really don't know the
You want
standard
to,
of
okay, wait. Do you want to first of all just start with telling us the schools you got into?
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, I got into Michigan Tech, Morgan State University, Clemson University, Purdue Northwest, Purdue West Lafayette, and then I didn't get into John Hopkins, Alabama, and then I don't remember the 8th one too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that 8th one is that kind of school where you probably submitted the application and things happened. I mean, yeah, so I still don't know the schools I applied to till today.
Okay, so I choose Purdue because when it comes to traction in the area I want to specialize in, Purdue is having maximum progress, and in that field, really, like not even nationwide, like nationwide US, international wide as well. They are really holding a firm ground, and they also have a lot of faculty members that are
What
very
field is that?
Semiconductors, electronics engineering,
semiconductors.
They are really pulling like they are stretching themselves beyond the limit here. And then I also like it because their research is aligning with my area of interest.
Yeah.
I mean, Purdue is the first school.
Eh? No, I was gonna say,
oh,
you think it's also a good school? Maybe I'll ask you that question after 1 year. Yeah, I mean, I know in terms of semiconductors, Purdue has in the last 1 year, what they call it again? They started the whole semiconductor degree program for undergraduates, masters. And I mean, they've been getting a lot of funding for semiconductors. Companies are coming to open semiconductor fabrication plants around here.
Yeah,
Let's see how that will go
absolutely.
in 5 years' time. Okay, so what's the one aspect of your application that made you stand out the most and made you attractive to Purdue?
Hmm, okay, yeah. Personally, I think to be specific, I am going to say my experience in terms of work and research. Yeah, a couple of people. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of applicants that will have nice credentials, good graduating CGPA, SOP, like a whole lot of nice platform. But I think the uniqueness comes from my research, my work experience, and then probably my leadership role. I think so. Um, because a school like Purdue, by standard, minimally, you need to have a very good profile. Yeah, sure. Minimally. So what exactly would differentiate you from like anybody else? Right? So I'm not going to talk about the conventional part. Okay, yeah, you write a good SOP, you have a good CGPA. No, those ones are probably normal. But I think what equally, I don't know, I'm not really sure, but I just think could be my work experience and then my research experience.
Okay. So when you mean work experience, what do you mean? Did you
Okay,
um
yeah, during my undergraduate program, I did a couple of internships that could be aligned with the research work I'm going to be doing. So I work with midstream engineering company. I work with electronic design and implementation company. I also work with a telecommunication company before proceeding.
Oh, wow. So with all this experience, okay, then I'll just ask in terms of research experience, what was your research experience like?
Okay, yeah, during my diploma program, because I did diploma at Yaba Tech before going to University of Lagos to do my bachelor's. So during my diploma program, I worked with an automated seat control something. So can't really forget, but I can't really remember, but I think I worked with something in line with my research work. To be specific, an automated seat. So if don't let me go in details. Why for my undergrad, for my bachelor's, I also worked on an electronic IoT devices, so which got published on IEEE journal, IEEE Explore, and then I added the link to a couple of my research interests
Application.
and then my application. So
Yeah. I mean that's really nice. Where did you get where did you get it published?
IEEE Explore Institute of the IEEE international website. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Did you like did you pay to get it published there?
Okay. So this is what will happen when I was going towards the end of my final year, and then I was going to be aligned with an advisor. Do we call it advisor? No, I think we call it supervisor, project supervisor.
Supervisor.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to be aligned with a supervisor, and then my supervisor was really open enough to allow me pick a topic, which I do not have a topic. So I went online. Oh, I think I should be able to do this. Then at the point of we having our first discussion, he told us point blank, before you can get an A in this course. So he said it. He said it in like in a shallow manner. Oh, I think to get an A in this project, you need to work towards publishing. So, well, I really don't know. I was just actually doing my own. So at the point in my project works, then he called me. He said, "I want this project to be published." And then, back in Nigeria, definitely every supervisor will want to align. Then I worked towards that. So at the point of republishing, so he said I should pay some percentage. So he did the rest of the payment.
Yeah.
Then it was a paid published paper.
Publication. Okay. So I mean, the one thing I know is that especially for those who are still in undergraduates and listening here, if you can if you are doing a project and you can spend some time after your project defense to write up your write up your results into a paper. It doesn't have to be a perfect paper. Like, you just need to write it and you then look for a publication venue to submit it to. I currently advise people, like, if you can submit it to, if you have the money to submit to some IEEE conferences, I mean, that's good. But even if you don't have the money to submit it to a conference, you can either submit it to an archival site that would actually still give you a URL you can use. Like, for example, there's, for those in computer science, mathematics, like there's ARXIV, then there's ResearchGate, and there are a couple of these archival sites where even if you don't have the money to pay to get it published in a top venue, like, you can submit it to some archival sites where the paper just gets archived and you can cite it in your essays. Yeah, especially depending on the kind of school you are looking at. They really having a publication really helps put you like in front. So let's take a step back, Yusuf. And so you say you applied to 8 schools, got into 5. Let's talk about your school selection process and program selection process. When you were selecting schools, was there anything that stood out in how you selected a particular school or in how you selected your schools? Or did you just, be like me and go randomly look for schools, maybe throw, dice up, and if 6 comes up and you throw it again and 1 comes up, you go and look for a school that is number 61 somewhere and then you apply. Like, was there any factors that influenced your choice of schools and the programs you are applying to in that school?
Okay, yeah, they were, yeah, sure. And then I'll probably start this way. Yeah, when I thought of like having a rigid application process or being serious with the whole process, I was actually serving. So I needed schools that are number one. I was really precise that, hey, I don't want to do GRE, I don't want to do TOEFL. So schools that will waive TOEFL, schools that will remove GRE for Nigerians based on engineering. Yeah. But at the same time, I needed to match it up with my interest. Okay. So I went online. I used US ranking, this ranking website to rank top schools in electrical engineering and computer engineering in US. And at the same time, I also work with recommendation. So according to that ranking, so Purdue was ranked number 8 in the whole of US in electrical, top 10, yeah. So I picked Purdue, I picked Johns Hopkins, and I also picked Alabama. So those were kind of schools that was aligning on the list. So particularly when I was going through the requirement of each of those schools, I was so particular with I still don't want to write TOEFL. Like, I want schools that will not even stress me at all.
Yeah.
Because I've applied to other schools and it was categorically stated Nigerians are way for TOEFL because they are part of Commonwealth countries. They assume their first language is English. So, but some schools will not still agree with you that no, Nigerian will go English. They don't still understand English. So you need to do it TOEFL. So and also, yeah, matching up with my area of interest, very important. When I was going through, I knew initially, because of that name, Johns Hopkins, Alabama, I knew initially that no, the track I picked in those 2 schools does not really match exactly with and I don't want to fake my SOP.
Yeah.
Faking my SOP in the sense that I don't want to
Same experiences you don't have.
And I don't want to get into a program that I won't be really comfortable because it's a 5-year journey and I needed to be precise. So I knew that those programs was just related, but not exactly. So, and then definitely if there's still applicants with exact match, I'll go for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that sounds interesting. So if I have to summarize what you just said, first of all, you pick schools based on a blend of ranking and a blend of recommendations from, I guess, friends.
Yes.
And then for each of the schools, it was not just based on ranking, but then does the school's interest and direct, like areas of research interest, align with what you are interested in, and not just what you are interested in, but also the background that you had, because it's easy to write an SOP based on your own experiences than based on, I don't have this experience, but I'm interested in this field. Um,
Oh.
okay, so that's pretty interesting. So I would ask you, this was supposed to come much later, but since you've mentioned it, I'll just ask you now because I'm guessing some persons may be curious. Did you write TOEFL, IELTS, or GRE?
I wrote GRE and TOEFL. So this was the way it happened. Initially I said I was looking for schools that I don't want to, but something popped into my mind. Yeah, I wrote those things based on needs and based on the way those applications were coming, right? Let me start with GRE. I applied to a school, and then one of the professors reached out to me, because sometimes you could as well reach out to a professor before, and then sometimes when you apply to a school and then you mention the name of the advisor in your SOP, there is tendency the department forward your application perhaps to the advisor and then probably check your profile and say, oh, this person could be a good match. So the professor reached out to me and said, oh, you have a good profile. Why don't you write these because the school needs the GRE? So I went back to because we created more like a group, like a closed group within my colleagues. So we prepare for TOEFL, prepare for GRE, but they were preparing for the GRE. I was also matching up with them, but I still have the intention I was not going to write. But when those applications were coming in and those recommendations or requests were coming in, I did GRE. And then for
Which
the
school was
TOEFL,
that? Which school was that?
Michigan Tech, yeah, Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then I did TOEFL. For the TOEFL, right, I was not also going to do TOEFL because a couple of those schools I mentioned waived TOEFL for Nigerians. Yeah. But as at the point, I was probably going to get funding for Purdue, right? The professor reached out to me that, Yusuf, I love your interest in research works, this, but I won't be extending an offer right now. Although I'll be giving the admission, but he said, I won't be extending an offer right now, but I'm going to do 3 things for you. The one is I'm going to strongly recommend you for admission into Purdue. I'm going to do a brief introduction about you to other likable professors, and I'm going to reach out to you as soon as funding is available. So I reached out to the professor after I got the admission letter again. No, Baba, you cannot stop here. So I reached out to him again. Baba, I'm done. I will appreciate your guidance on how I can get funding, even though you are not extending offer right now. And then 2 days later, he did not respond, which is totally unusual. I was really much afraid. And I said, even though you are not responding, I think you should acknowledge the appreciation. Maybe, I don't know. Then the next response I got after 5 days was, what is your TOEFL score? And then I've written a piece too. He did not even say anything about those expenses. The next question was, what is your TOEFL score? In my mind, I was like, I did not write TOEFL. And then I replied the message. Hello, professor. I didn't write TOEFL because TOEFL was waived for Nigerians. And then the next response he said was, I think you should accept the offer. Okay, we will see how things unfold. Then I thought of, okay, if this professor could be asking me what was my TOEFL score, does that mean there is a link between getting funding and then TOEFL? So I went ahead to register for TOEFL, right? Then I sent him my appointment date and my appointment schedule. In less than, I'm not exaggerating, in less than 2 minutes, I got his response. He said, great, keep me posted. So that equally affirms that I think they are aligning in terms of, but my summary in that regard was, even though you don't have the intention to write to place you on a good platform. It could be because of my profile that made the professor to reach out to me. Sometimes he may not, sometimes they may not. Yeah, they may not. So if they can verify your profile and then you are not having what they need at that time, it is in rare occasions they'll reach out to someone that, oh, you don't have this, can you do this to get in?
Yeah.
So, but in this case, generally, I would advise, even though you are not writing, even though you don't have intention to write, just make an attempt to
Yeah.
have a very good platform. Yeah, and many options to deal with.
What's your funding? Are you a research assistant or a teaching assistant?
As we speak, Mr. Pastor,
Hmm.
I'm both. Yeah, I'm doing both teaching assistant and then research assistant. Yeah.
Okay. So let me explain what happens. Because this is also where a lot of persons get it wrong, right? You go to Purdue's website, for example, and it tells you that they waive
Mhm.
TOEFL for Nigerians. I mean, schools, they are trying to get people to apply, right? The truth is, you can get admission in, I'm talking now specifically with Purdue because I've been here for like getting to 3 years and I know a lot about their process. You can get admission without something like TOEFL. But then some departments now add the requirement that to get a teaching assistantship, not only must you have TOEFL, but then you must have TOEFL with a speaking score that's at least 24/30.
Yeah, I have to be given assistantship 27.
Okay, let me rephrase. To be given assistantship 27, but if you get between 24 and 27,
Yeah, good.
you
Yeah.
can
So,
you can get the offer, but then when you come to campus, you have to write an English exam before
yes,
the appointment is confirmed,
yes,
right? So,
yes.
but if you get above 27, you would get the teaching assistantship. If you get between 24 and 27, you would get a teaching as a conditional offer. So it's
Yes, that's
conditional
correct.
on you passing the Purdue, I've got the name of that exam, English exam. If you
EN,
get 24
ENG
in speaking,
621.
eh?
621. EN,
What's it?
ENG 621.
Okay, okay. And then if you get less than 24, you can't get a teaching assistantship. Now, sometimes a professor like sees likes you, he likes your research, he knows that you guys are a perfect match, but at that moment he does not have funding for you from his own pocket. And the way he can get you funding is to recommend you for a teaching assistantship, right? So it's in that case, it's more like the professor now needs you to have TOEFL so that you'll be able to get a teaching assistantship, right? Some other professors may feel like, I mean, I can't guarantee you 5 years of funds. Maybe I just have a grant that's 2 years. And if we run out of money after 2 years and we don't get new money, then I'll need you to be a teaching assistant for like 1 or 2 semesters until we get more money, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't write TOEFL, then even in the future you can't get that teaching assistantship. So it's like it's a bit yeah. So I think what the summary of this I would say is that when you are and this I'm talking to every other person, right? When you are looking for schools to apply to, it's not just about the requirements for getting admission. You are also interested in the requirements for getting funding. Sometimes the requirement for getting funding could be, for example, in ECE, one of the additions say that like our PhD students gets an average of a specific score in GRE and a specific score, like you get that kind of thing. So it's already telling you that if you want to get admission and funding in this department, you should target your GRE score to be at least close to or more than that average score that people that get admission and get funding usually get. Sometimes it may not be obvious from their website, right? So one thing that I advise students to do is to send an email to the schools you want to apply for. And if for example, you don't have in mind to write TOEFL, for example, because I mean, we are Nigerians, many of us don't have money, that amount of money. And now say that dollar is, um, so you can send an email to the schools you want to apply to, and you can ask them like, "Hi, I don't have TOEFL, or is TOEFL being considered for when you are considering people for funding? Or I don't have TOEFL, is that going to limit my chance for getting admission or fund?" Always specify their funding, because when you just specify only admission, they will talk to you about the admission requirements, which I tell you is very low. I mean, they can admit anybody. The question is, can you pay your school fees? Okay, thank you very much for that extensive response, Mr. Yusuf. I think we are fast running out of time, very fast running out of time. I can see some chats. I posted on the link. I posted on the link. On the chat a link to like a form where you can submit any question you want to ask. There'll be like a 5 to 10 minute question and would ask any question that you send. Not all though, but based on time constraints and based on if we've not talked about it before. Okay, so let's go to another aspect of this application. You've been talking about your professor, your professor, your professor. Tell us about the Purdue professor. How did you find him, get in contact with him?
Oh yeah, thank you. I was really going to I found what you said with regards reaching out to school coordinators or program coordinators. So as at the point I discovered Purdue is maybe top rated school in electrical. So I went straight to their EC website. I wrote the name of, or I got the name of their program coordinator. I sent a mail to the program coordinator asking 8 questions. So the first one was, I assumed I've not even checked their requirement on website. So I think the first one was, is TOEFL or high IELTS needed to get admission, right?
Yeah.
What is the funding process like? How do I get funding? Is there application fee waiver process? Is there any program coming on that I probably need to attend? Do I need, is GR really compulsory? Like I had all those questions outlined. And funnily enough, I did that for a couple of schools I applied to as well. And then funnily enough, all of them will respond diligently. So I got the response. So from the last question I asked, which is there any program coming on that you can probably share with me with the school? So from the response I got a link saying that there is an graduate open house event coming up. So I registered for the graduate open house event. So on that graduate open house, there is a database of all professors looking for funding, looking for students in ECE, other department as well. So I went into the ECE, I clicked on my area of interest, and I started seeing different professors. It was categorically stated that those professors in that database, they are looking for students, right? They want to match up with students. And then over time, I discovered that they keep updating the list. Then I met 3 professors that I can say we have a very close match.
Yeah.
This professor is part. So I reached out, I wrote a mail to them. And then after a few days, I got a response from this professor, Professor Muhammad Hussein Mustafa, that, oh, great, Yusuf. Thank you for your interest in my research in my group. I'm going to keep your profile as a prospect to my course or to my group, and I'll reach out to you as funding is available, because he's just starting the program here at Purdue. He's just starting his group at Purdue. He has been in King Abdulaziz Science and Tech University at Saudi Arabia for 12 years. He became a professor there before getting a tenure office here in Purdue. So that was September, October, November, December. I didn't hear anything. So January, he reached out to me saying that, oh, hi, I'm professor of this. I have funding for at least 1 student. I would love us to have like a Zoom call or a Zoom conversation, which we did. Then at the point of me getting the mail of, oh, okay, we want to have a Zoom call. Then I went straight online to search for his name. And I started seeing, wow, this man is really, really like he's a renowned scholar. Then, meaning to me, his expectation will be really, really high. Then I started reading on his research works, like NMOS, PMOS. I was reading a couple of theoretical, we were trained like that from Nigeria, many of theoretical concepts. Then at the point of the interview, I was really, really, really shocked about the set of questions he asked me. He said, I'm going to be asking you 3 questions, and then you also have the opportunity to ask me 3 questions. The first question, he said, I know you must have been applying to a couple of schools. Admission in which school will make you fulfilled? Like everything on my head just flew off. In my mind, my expectation was, can you tell me the integration of PMOS, NMOS? You just ask me those technical questions. Baba did not ask me, like he just said, which admission in which school will make me fulfill? I said, really? Are we doing interview or we are just having conversation? I had to mention, I said John Hopkins and Purdue. He said, which one exactly? I said, any of those 2. Okay, why? Then I told him my interest. The next question was there a time I did something and I was successful and I feel fulfilled? See, is this the interview? Are you, in my mind, are you whining me, Professor? Let's go straight to the interview. And the third question was that there are different stages in project. Which of the stage is of interest to me? I also answer. Then I asked him 3 questions. Even those 3 questions I asked him too was a bit funny because I don't have a question for him. I asked him, what, like, how do can he link me up with any student in his group so as to know if I will be joining the group, things I will need to do. And then the second one was, how is Purdue? Then I was still in Nigeria. I is Purdue, I is Indiana, I is West Lafayette. And he answered very well. So that was the interview. And that was how I got to know him. Okay.
Okay. So that's a very interesting story, actually. Very, very interesting story. Before I summarize what you just said, I'll just ask you, so you got admission into 5 schools. How many of those schools did you get in touch with a professor before you got the admission?
I think 2. Yeah, 2.
So for 3 other schools, you just sent applications.
Yeah, through the selection process.
And they admitted you into a PhD program.
Yes.
With funding.
Most of them part.
How many did you get full funding?
Purdue, yeah, Purdue.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, my own story was very funny. So that year, I applied to 4 schools. It's only 2 schools I can remember today, which was the 2 schools I got admission in. And for one of the schools, Iowa State University, I applied. And the reason I applied was that, so Iowa State University has a 2-step application process. You apply first, more like pre-application. And then if your application looks good, they'll give you an application fee waiver. So I was like, let me just pre-apply and see if I'll get an application fee waiver. And then I got the application fee waiver. Then I applied the main application. And then all of a sudden, a professor there reached out to me. Hi, Pascal, I saw that you applied to our program here. The professor was into the area of microarchitectural security, still under computer engineering. So would I want to have a chat with him? And I mean, we just had and just like you said, I was going to read about research and stuff. This professor asked me a very simple and basic question, and the others was just about trying to get to know me and stuff like that. And yeah, and then I got the offer from them, but then I mean I had to serve him breakfast, which made me cry. But so, yeah. But then in some scenarios, right? I would just like Yusuf said, there are 2 things, or should I say there are 3 things about reaching out to professors. One is looking for, so some schools usually publish professors that are looking for students, right? Sometimes this kind of information may not be that like public. But one way you can do that is you can also send an email to the graduate coordinator, or like each school have a contact person. And then you are like, is there any way to know professors I can reach out to who are actively looking out for students? And that thing also is some schools would even tell you, don't reach out to professors. The school has like an admissions committee that admits students and then share these students. So, but I noticed that this happens in schools that try to be very close-knit with their research. So you may be interested in electrical and computer engineering, but I tell you, that's a very, very big field, right? I mean, even if you reduce the interest to software engineering, it's still a very big field. So different schools may have their specific areas of interest, and then they are trying to admit students just into those areas. So you can reach out to the school and ask them, do I need to reach out to professors to get admission? There are some schools where if a professor does not admit you, the school does not admit you, right? Like most Purdue PhD students I've seen, they get into the PhD program because a professor, you get that kind of thing. So it's good to know for each school you are applying to what their process is internally. Then when you are trying to, now you have a list of professors, right, on the school's website. It's always very good to look for professors that their interests and their research aligns closely with what you currently do, or something you can claim you have experience in. Because that's the easiest way to get the professor interested in you. Beyond just, I'm interested in trying to change the world. The fact that you've done something in the past or you are currently doing something that could contribute to the work they are doing, it makes you a stronger candidate, right? Even if you want to change field, some people are like, currently I'm working in this area, but I want to do a PhD in this other area. I would always advise you, look for a way to join the two areas together and look for a professor that's working at the junction of both areas. Okay, I think we are running fast out of time. Yeah, I had some other questions to ask, but I don't want this session to go beyond one because many of us here have other things we are doing. So maybe I'll open the room. Maybe I'll open the room for like maybe one person to ask a question. Is there anybody here that maybe wants to ask a question? Okay. Since there's none, let me continue with the questions. Okay, so Yusuf, I think this is probably one of the last questions I would ask before we round up for today. Tell us about application fee waivers. Of the 8 schools you applied to, how many did you get application fee waivers? How many did you not have to pay application fees for, and how did you get the waivers?
Yeah, I didn't pay application fee at all. So this was what I did.
So you applied to 8 schools for free. Wow, this is a personal record.
So and then I may be really specific with each. So the first one is for Alabama. There were, I think, around last year October or September, they brought out like an application fee. So
wait a second. For time, right? You can just tell us about 2 of them, right? 2 of the schools and how you got application fee waivers for them.
For Purdue, I got application fee from that graduate house event. For Alabama, they opened like a free application fee, like general. So, I think all of them, except one that I had to reach out to the admission committee. I told them I made a request that I wrote like a mail to the graduate coordinator. I'll be very grateful if I can know the process of getting application fee waiver. Then he told me categorically that they don't go on, like the process is not from their hand, that I need to reach out to the admission or so. So I reached out to the admission committee, and then she said, I was like, I should write a letter indicating reason for this one. Then I wrote the letter, I forwarded the letter, I attached, but in addition to that, I already commenced application on the portal. Okay. I indicated the ID on that letter. So after some time, I think after 2 days or 3 days, I got a mail that you've gotten a waiver for this. And I also applied for free. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I mean, it's just actually summarizes some of the things I know, which is one of them is many schools have approaches for application fee waivers. For some of them, like Purdue, you have to attend one of the events that they organize. And then if you attend the event, you would stand in for application fee waiver. And some of them usually have this kind of information on their website. Some other schools usually have an application fee free week, where if you submit your application within a specific week, you won't pay application fee. But if you can't find this kind of information online, always feel free to send an email to one of the graduate admissions officers and make the inquiry. And sometimes, like you just said, they may not have any public process for applying for application fee, but if you reach out, you can get fee waivers from them. I mean, that's a pretty remarkable something. And I mean, when you get application fee waivers from multiple schools, then you can apply to 8 schools without thinking about the cost of applying to these schools. Then I have a question from Benedict Okpala. Mr. Benedict, can you shoot?
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Pascal, for putting this through. Yeah, I appreciate it. Good evening, Mr. Yusuf. Thank you very much for your story. It's actually very inspiring. I just have a question, and I will be very direct. First of all, I want to know, did you graduate with a first-class CGPA? That was one. And then if you did you think, or what was the impact or the relevance of that to your admission process, and then getting funding and the admission? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Can I go on?
Yeah, sure. One.
Yeah, it's actually a direct question. That's fine. So, for my diploma program, I graduated with a distinction, and then for my undergraduate program, I didn't graduate with the first class, right? But looking at the traction of my results, right from year one to my final year, it has been really, really good. So at the point I did a West conversion, because I did a West conversion, so it brought me to a distinction point, right? So sometimes when you probably don't graduate with first class, you could as well consider the West conversion, because a couple of courses will be sieved out from what we've done in Nigeria to meet the standard here. Okay. And if you've really done well in your specific courses, there is tendency for you to have, sometimes you could have a GPA of 4.4, right? Or 4.3, and then you are getting a cumulative of, in 4.0, you are getting a cumulative 3.8 or 3.85. It depends on how exactly you've been able to do well in specific courses that will be considered for your program. So
would you want to, I don't know if it's personal, you can decline, but if not, would you want to say what CGPA you graduated with and what the West conversion was?
Okay, yeah, honest, I'll be candid with you. I'm not really sure about the West conversion because it was just like a one-off stuff, and then but with the CGPA, yeah, it's 4.35 here.
Okay, 4.35. Okay. Yeah, thank you. At least it's good that we had someone here because at some point I was scared that I would just bring people that finish with a first class, and then it would paint the picture that you need a first class to get in. Benedict, before I come back to you, but it seems you have a follow-up question. Can you just quickly be very direct with it?
Yeah, of course I will. I like asking direct questions, so I will get direct answers. Yeah, so you talk about West conversion, and trust me, I've not heard of that before. I've heard of West, but I don't know they do convert CGPA. So when you say you did a West conversion, so the West conversion is is it a metric, or is it really like where you feed in your CGPA and then it gives you something else in return, or maybe you feed in the courses, like the grades you got in some courses, and then it gives you a CGPA also? I've not, like I said, I've heard of West. I've not heard of West CGPA.
Okay, so primarily,
answer in 30 seconds, please.
Okay, so primarily what West conversion does is to place you in US standard rating, like in terms of GPA. Back in Nigeria, we use 5.0 with a whole lot of, okay, to be specific, like in electrical, you need like 177 units to graduate. But electrical here, you need probably around 130 or 125 units to graduate as an undergraduate. So meaning we need a couple of more courses, right? So what the West conversion will do is to streamline most of your courses in line with their regulation here, and which in most cases increases the CGPA of whatever thing you have from Nigeria here, depending on how you perform in your specific courses. Yeah. No, it's course by course evaluation, not a whole CGPA. It's course by course.
I understand. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Please, can everyone that wants to ask a question actually send their questions to the chat, because I'm trying to round up here and I wouldn't want to keep us here much longer. So, Moji, please, can you just type your question in the chat and I'll read it and either ask Yusuf or answer it. Before we round up, Mujib, I don't know if you Mujib, yeah, okay. So before we round up, I would ask Yusuf 2 questions, and that is my last 2 questions. The first is just briefly, very briefly, is there any aspect of your statement of purpose, anything you did to help you write a better or a strong statement of purpose, or was there any guiding philosophy that you try to follow to write a good statement of purpose? And then when you answer that, you just go on to if you have any other concluding remark or any other thing you want to add that I may not have asked you, that you felt was a strong part of your application, you also just talk about it. Maybe if you can use just 2 minutes to talk about these 2 things, I'll be grateful.
SOP, nightmare.
Mm.
Yeah, SOP is one of the strongest part of any application process is your SOP, because that is what sells you. That is what tells the department that this is who you are, right? In a simple logic. So for me, what I did initially was to be kind of intentional. So I already created like a network, a closed network, a major group and a subgroup. So, and then when I wrote my first, I wrote my first statement of purpose. I forwarded it to different people in different schools, senior colleagues and uncles to help me review. Some working class, some graduated from schools in US, and then they all gave me their review. Then I went online to check what are the basic steps in writing SOP, what do you need to write in each paragraph, what do you need to do this. So I came up with another one, the review. I came up with another one, the review. I think about the 4th time, there is stability in my content. And then so I got almost the same review from everyone that checked my SOP. Oh, this could be a bad bet, or a good shot for me to get in. So I eventually used that. So what I was just doing was to change like the last paragraph, the last 2 paragraphs containing the profile of the professor I think I'll be working with, and then the name of the school and why the school interests me most. So that was what I was just changing. All others that appears to be the same. And then what do I think would be an addition to? Is that this process can be tiring. Yeah, I'll be candid. Can be tiring and frustrating. Yeah, if you do not create what we call this synergy structure, and then synergy does not really align with. Okay, I can. The word synergy involves 2 or more people. Okay, so try as much as possible. Anytime you want to go, deep or serious into this process, but probably want to take someone along that will probably have aligned interest, so that you guys have the same interest aligning. Because I'm not saying it is compulsory, it could just assist the process. So at the point of which you are not really motivated to go on, you always find something to keep you going, because it can be tiring, really, really tiring and frustrating. Yeah, sure. Or when you write SOP and then people are telling you, what are you writing? What's this? You're writing, you're explaining your life history. No, those things can be demoralizing. So to keep you going, find like a group of structures to work with. Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't have said it better, especially your last. In fact, the first to the 2 points. Talking about statement of purpose, nobody writes a strong statement of purpose the first time, and it's hard to get any admission without a strong statement of purpose. So the way it works is you write, you ask for reviews, you Google how to write it better, you make it better, and try and make up to 3 or 4 iterations before you submit. Each iteration is always going to be better than the previous one, right? And then talking about support structures, I mean, that was also one thing that I did. Then I was part of a bunch of groups of people that were trying to apply for graduate school, right? So I was part of bigger groups. And then I also had the smaller groups. So I and like 4 of my other friends were like 5 in that group. One of us created it. And when someone gets information about a school or about a professor or something, they post it there. And luckily, 5 of us currently, like 3 of us are in the US doing PhD programs. One got a PTDF scholarship to go to the UK, although did not accept it because he was already on another program. And then the last got an Erasmus Mundus scholarship to go to Europe, right? So I think that's having that, because if you don't have that structure surrounding you, it's very easy to get demoralized or to ask yourself, why am I even doing all these things? Or to procrastinate and wait till December before you realize you have to start submitting applications. So I think at this point,
in addition to that, like the group you mentioned, my close group as well, we are also 5, and luckily 3 of us got US fully funded, and then the 4th person got fully funded in Saudi Arabia, while the 5th knew that he or she wasn't really putting effort in the process. So yeah, it's really count and really show.
It's something I always encourage people to do. If you are the only one going on this journey alone, it's going to be hard to make progress, right? It's good to have like your close friends or people that you work together with, and that can keep you accountable. I think we've had a very fulfilling session. I'm so sorry for those I couldn't take their questions. I really apologize because of time. But what I would say is currently, like, we would have more of these sessions. Hopefully, I hope I'll be able to keep it every 2 weeks. But I don't know, life can, not go as we plan. But I'll try my best to keep it every 2 weeks. And I'll try my best to keep the guests, like, to have a diverse set of guests, right? So maybe next time it's going to be someone that's actually got a master's fully funded program in something that is not engineering. And maybe some other time we'll look at maybe a different field, or like we just try to keep it diverse, maybe cover like chemistry, agriculture, biology, different fields. And so if you want to be updated on future sessions, I posted a link on the group, https bit.ly/CWTSI interest, like CWTS interest, right? But the CWTSI is capitals, others are small letters. So send an email, and I say email. Click the link, fill the form, and you'll get notified of future sections. There's also a link to submit questions, so you feel free to submit questions either before a session or during a session, and the questions submitted will be asked. Thank you very much for coming together today, and I really hope. So someone is asking, how about having a WhatsApp group chat? So the truth is, I honestly don't want to get involved with a WhatsApp group chat, but if you guys can, find a way to synergize among yourself, it will be very helpful. A lot of persons, when I was applying, I was also in bigger group chats as well. So I would suggest that you try and fill in the CWTS interest link, so that if there's any update, or if I later choose to get involved with a WhatsApp group chat, even if I don't participate, but just to facilitate it, I'll send the information out through that link. So please try and fill the link if you want to get updated on anything that's going to happen in the future. Thank you very much for your for coming out here and being and staying with me till the end. I really appreciate it, and do have a great day until we meet next time. Thank you very much, Yusuf, for being my guest today. I enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Yusuf.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pascal. But please, before you leave, someone asked how we could get the link. I think the person missed the session.
Which link? Recording. Fill the CWTS interest form. I'll probably send the recording link to everyone on the form.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Do have a great day. Bye.